Alrighty, let's do this. Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm at work, but otherwise than that, I'm gonna be making this tutorial for a friend called Jonathan from University of Manchester, and this picture is amazing. So let's head to Lightroom Mobile and see what we could do for his pictures. We'll be talking about the basics on how he could become a amazing editor himself, and he took this with his DJI drone. So let's check it out what his picture offers us. Alrighty guys, this is the picture that Jonathan took with his DJI drone. Sorry for the noise if it's around here. I'm at work, so you know. So check this out. So we're looking at this picture, a sunset picture, amazing. The reflection on the windows from the buildings is amazing. The light on the bridge, the lights is amazing. Everything is perfect. The way he took it, it's amazing. So on this tutorial, we're gonna talk about the basics. Jonathan, I hope you're listening to what I'm saying. I hope you understand me what I'm saying. So this picture is amazing. So we're gonna go to these controls. If you want to go to auto goes bright on color, as you can see. See, it manually brings the colors into place. So I'm gonna leave it on manual because it fixes up your pictures. You don't have to, but if you want that, it helps you a lot. But I'm gonna take it off for this time so you could see how we could do the same. So if we go to light, here, we have a different controls here. So don't worry about the curve that's on the right side and the bottom. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later. We have exposure. What exposure does, it brings up the light on the color, as you can see. You get light. You don't go all the way. It's too light or too dark. It's too dark. So always find the way to put on the right lighting. If you want a bit darker, so you could get that colors on that sunset. You can see the difference on the sunset. The coloring, it's amazing. So I like to keep it on 0.36 minus. Now contrast, it does the same thing, but the as you can see, the sunset brings the colors in. It pops up more. And also it gets darker on the buildings, on the water, on the bridge. It gets a little darker, but you want the details to appear, right? So you want a little dark, so we could get those colors going on there. Highlights, it brings up only the sunset. It's the sunset, as you can see. Go all the way up, it's too bright. All the way that is too dark, but it does bring up more of the color. But we're gonna go a little on the highlights. As you can see, that you're working with the colors and the light. I'm gonna leave it right there. Now shadows. What shadow does, Jonathan, that it brightens up the buildings, the bridge only. As you can see, it brings up everything, seeing all the details, and that's what you want. You want to see all the details on the picture, depending on your style, right? I like it moody, I like it a little dark and get the sunset going on there. But for you, if you want your details to be seen, this is the perfect plus 54. Now the whites. White, what it does, it also brings up a little bit of the light on the sunset, buildings, bridge, water reflection, and the buildings on the left down corner, as you can see. So I'm gonna bring it just like a plus 5. Don't lose those details. Don't ever lose those details. Blacks, as you can see, it also brings up the building light, the reflection, everything black. It's so dark, white. You just gotta work with the colors. But for me, I think perfectly done should be around minus 23. Now the colors. I love working with this, Jonathan. So you go to the colors, As you can see, that it's already managed into blue because usually it's in the middle. So we have the temperature, we have the tint, the vibrance, and the saturation. And we're gonna be working with the temperature. So the temperature, what it does, as you can see, if you want it more yellowish, as you can see, that's too exaggeration. Too much blue goes to this. So you always gotta work with the bluish and the not the contrast. I'm sorry, the bluish and the orangish yellowish, as you can see. So you want to look for the right tones. You want to get that bluish, orangish, and reddish and yellowish colors together, so you could blend into the pictures, the buildings, and everything else. Every time you work on a picture, you have to analyze the picture. How are you gonna make it? How are you want to make the colors pop out? How to bring the details on there? What colors are you gonna use? Always use the colors that is in the picture. Of course, presets. To be honest, for me, I like using my presets because it's the one I created. But using other people's presets, I think it's kind of like cheating. Because why? Because you're using their work. You're not using yours. I'm just saying this out there. So that's done with the temperature. Done with the tinting. The tinting goes into the purplish colors. You can see like magenta. If you go to the greenish part, it turns kind of greenish. Of course, you want to blend in the colors as always, because you can see the bluish, purplish, reddish, orangish, yellowish sunset. Of course, you want to go into like kind of like magenta. Now the vibrance. If you want to go with the vibrance, what it does, that as you can see, overall it works with the building colors, a bit of the sunset colors, clouds, and buildings as well. It's to bring the little bit of the colors going on there. Now, if you want to work with saturation, it works with all the colors in the picture. As you can see, I'm not going too far. If you go too far, it's too exaggeration. You can see the colors are popping too much, and you don't want that. That ruins the picture. So what you gotta do is look for the tones. Look for the perfect tones. That's perfect. Now you're done with color. If you go to effects, the texture, clarity, dehaze, vignette, midpoint, feather, roundness, and highlights, they all work in different things. So we're gonna work with it. As you can see, we can work with the texture. So what texture does, it makes the buildings pop out, as you can see, and the clouds as well. It makes it more like, it brings up a bit of the sharpness, because texture and sharpness, they work the same way. But sharpness, sometimes if you put too much sharpness, it makes the picture too noisy. I like working with texture more, getting that texture of the buildings to make it pop out more and the clouds pop out more. If you go with clarity, look what clarity does. Clarity brings too much of the texture. You see, I used to do texture all the way to 100 to make it pop out more, but as I can see that I work with the sunset, so I like it like a little smooth. As you can see, it's smooth. It looks perfect. Don't get me wrong, clarity looks amazing the way it is, because you wanted the clouds to be popping out. But if you want to get that smooth texture on the picture, make it smooth and nice, get that sunset warmth and comfort, that is perfect right there. Dehazing works more kind of like contrast. As you can see, it gets darker, but it brightens up the colors more, as you can see, making the water reflection and the clouds the same color, making the buildings on each side and the bridge the same color as the reflection as the sunset. Vignetting. What vignette does, it brings the focus into the middle of the sunset, buildings on the side a little bit darker, but the bridge, the reflection of the water and the sunset to make it pop out more. You don't have to. You could literally leave it like this and make out the texture going on there, making the picture normal, perfect. But if you want that moody tone, kind of stylish, you want everything in the middle to pop out more, go to vignette. Don't go too much. You can see the oval. It looks terrible. You don't want that. It looks like you have a fisheye lens. So you don't want that. If you go too to the right, you have a vignette of white. And you don't want that. So getting that little, always work with it. Get a little black vignette around the corners. And if you go to midpoints, what midpoint does, it smoothens the vignette, the black corners. It smoothens it out. And then if you go to feather, it evens out the blackness, making it like if it was normal on the picture. On the picture, it makes it like if it was already dark on the sides and everything. It's like smoothing it out more, but making it like if the picture was already darkened on the sides. And then roundness, if you go roundness, it makes the picture a little bit more round, focus on the middle. If you go to highlights, it brings up a little bit of the highlights on the sides and the middle. As you can see, it doesn't do that much, but you know what? I'm gonna put like around 40. There it goes. Now, going into graining. To be honest, graining, I do not recommend you put it on any of your pictures, even if it's a portrait. It mixing it like a film type, depending on which style you're getting. If you want to go to portraits, do graining. But if you're going to like landscaping, some street photographing in the city, do not put grain, because I'm gonna tell you why. Check this out. Do you see the grain? Like it just does not do a great job on the picture. You don't want that grain, so we're gonna leave it the way it is on 0, no moving. Now we're going into the sharpening. As you can see, there's sharpening because I put it on auto in the beginning and it automatically put it on sharpen. So I'm gonna take out the sharpness. Why? Because I already worked with the texture. As you can see, I don't need no sharpening anyhow on the picture. And what radius, detail, and masking does, the radius of the sharpening makes it increasing on the sharpening on any overall of the picture, making it stand out more, and the detail making it more to pop out in the sharpening. As you can see, it looks great. I'm sorry, but I do not want to work with sharpening on any landscape, in my opinion, or any cityscape, street photography. You don't want to put any sharpening, in my opinion. Okay, now noise reduction. This is my favorite thing to do on any of my pictures. Reducing any noise that is in the picture. What noise is that it blurs the picture on the sunset or anything overall in the picture. If you have anything like messy on the sunset and messy on the buildings, it has too noisy, like little small dots of like blurry things. This reduces it. That's why it's called noise reduction. It reduces any noise that is on the picture, making it, smoothing it out the picture, making it clearer to see, making everything stand out. As you can see, I use the noise reduction to 33. The detail on the noise reduction, I put on 73 to smoothen out the things. And now the color noise reduction. What the color noise reduction does, it smooths out any of the color that is in the sunset, reflection, on the water, buildings. That's why it's called color reduction. Any coloring that is kind of blurry, looks really like the clouds, it's too focused and it's popping out too uglyish. You just gotta put on the color reduction. I'll put on 55. The detail on it, I'm gonna put around 70, and the smoothness to smoothen out the color reduction, it's gonna be 76. So that's done. Now we're gonna go to optics. As you can see, the optics, we have removed chromatic aberration. If you don't know what chromatic aberration is, when you take a picture with a wide angle lens, if it's a Sigma 10 to 17, 10 to 20, you have this neon colors that it's like reddish, greenish, and kind of like greenish, bluish colors, like a neon color on each of the corners. And you want to remove that. Why? Because it doesn't make the picture nice. It doesn't make it professional, and it ruins pretty much the corners of the background on the picture. And I always put on like that, if there's any chromatic aberration on the picture, I just take it off just in case. I just put it like that. Even if it doesn't have any, I put it so there won't be any chromatic aberration on the picture. Now, enable lens corrections. When it comes to enable lens corrections, you don't need that. Why? That's only when you're using an iPhone. I have noticed that. So when you have a iPhone, any type of iPhone, and you're taking a picture and you want to edit it on Lightroom Mobile, and you're doing the same settings as I did right now, if you put enable lens corrections, what it does, that it brings the picture forward, and then if you take it off, it goes right. It's like it sucks it in. And I don't think you need that on your picture, because your picture's already fine. You take it with a DJI drone, so you don't need that. So that's done. So so as you can see the blue stars here, the blue stars, those for if you want to pay for it, but you don't have to. Like I said, you don't need to pay to edit your picture. It's totally free. As you can see, we have the 3x2. These are the type of styles, the aspect ratio that you want to use. If you want to use it, you can use it as a square, 5+4, 11 times 8.5, 7 times 5, 3 times 2, 4:3, 16:9. But your picture is perfect the way it is, so you don't need to move anything. If you want to keep it like that, you could do that. Now, if you want to straighten your picture, depending on the angle, see, the angle fixed it by 0.6 degrees, so it was kind of a bit crooked, just a little bit by 0.6 degrees, but it evens out the picture depending. Sometimes you don't need to do it because it's already in the middle. It's arranged automatically, and you don't need to put the straight in. But as you can see, it fixed it. You know, the rotation, you don't need to rotate it. It looks ugly. You don't need to do that. Rotating to left and right, you know, you don't need that. Flipping horizontal, if you want it this side or this side. This side looks so cool too, but I prefer this side, of course, because this is the original way you took it. Flipping, of course, back and forth, you don't need to do that. Only if you're doing some crazy photo editing. So now we're doing to the final step, curving. Curving is really important when you're editing, Jonathan. The reason why I'm telling you this is because when you're working with the curving, you're bringing up everything up, colors, brightness, everything. So this is what I mean by coloring and light. What I do when I start using the curve, I put the 3 dots this way, this formation. There's no other way that I would like to do it, depending on if I want to do a different style. So on the curving, this is what it does. It brightens up the colors and the light. This is my favorite part, as you can see. See, brightens up, brightens down, brightens up, brightens down. I'm gonna keep it a little bit dark there. And now this is the final step that I like to do, but I don't know if you like to do it. You could do it if you want, but you know what, I'm gonna move this a little bit down because I don't want to lose those colors. As you can see, I want to keep those colors right there. This makes it moody, as you can see. A lot of people use this technique. They use it to make it stand more, make it like little, like I'll say like foggy, make it the picture kind of foggy. I don't know, if you like this, it looks great. If you want like this, moody like that, I'm gonna keep it moody. Now we're going to the reddish side. As you can see, there's plenty of red there, but I'm gonna show you this technique here. See, reddish, purplish, downish turns into like bluish, greenish, like that, neon colors. So I'm gonna put a little reddish on the top, but you know what, I'm just gonna keep the colors the way it is. I don't want to mess around with it because that ruins the picture. Now if you go up, so you go up, it turns purplish, reddish. You go down, it turns blue. I'm gonna go down to get that bluish like that, but not lose the reds. Never lose the reds, but keep that bluish right there on. Now this one, see, as you can see, it turns kind of bluish, greenish. This one goes reddish. So to combine, I'm gonna get the bluish and the reddish the same way. Now you know how the fading goes. This one goes red, this one goes bluish. I'm gonna go around here downish, as you can see. And as you can see, the picture's going out really well, Jonathan. Now the green curve. So okay, we have a red curve, green curve, and a blue curve. So the greenish, what it does, as you can see, it brings up more of the yellowish, and this one goes into the reddish. Never lose the colors. Leave it as it is. As you can see, it goes back and forth. It does the same job. This one goes here, as you can see, moody greenish. You want to stick to the same colors. As the fading, the same color to the sunset, moody greenish. But I'm gonna keep it the way it is. I think that's perfect. Now the bluish works the same way, but of course this turns blue, this turns like kind of yellowish. But I don't want to lose my colors, so I'm gonna keep it the way it is. I'm gonna bring up a little bit of the blue tones, a bit, just a bit. I don't want too much. Around there, kind of in the middle, but it's not in the middle. And then it does the same way. Now we have the final step. This is the final step. So if you have this, and this, each of it controls different matters. This one controls the darkness on the bottom, left and right, like if it was the vignetting, like I said in the other step. But I'm gonna keep it around this area here. I'm gonna go up to bring up a little bit of the brightness, and this one brings up the brightness on the sunset as well. And then you can move it. As you can see, the curve moves a little bit. This moves a little bit as well, as you can see. You find if you want it brighter or darker. And as you can see, it's a bit dark, right? So if you want a little bit more brightness, you could go back to the light of the steps right here. You go light, you can bring up a little bit of the brightness. And if you want to bring the bit of the whiteness, you can bring the whiteness if you like. If you want to bring the black as well. And then as you can see, you see how this yellowish things pop out too much because you use too much coloring. So you want to fix that. So you go to color again, go this, you go to yellow. You know, you want to work with the colors. You want to find a way how to fix it. You know, if you can't fix it, you just keep on looking until you fix it. That's how I do it. Because sometimes you're editing the picture and like, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of messing it up. You know, I don't want to mess it up. You know, you just keep on looking. Then you know what? That's how it's going to look. As you can see, it's a bit of that those colors that are popping out a little bit there, but it looks like if it was a normal picture. As you can see, before, after, before, after. I hope you liked my tutorial, Jonathan. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope this helps. And I'll see you on the flip side. Take it easy. Alrighty guys, that's the picture that Jonathan sent me. So thank you, Jonathan, for letting me use your picture on our video. This picture was so fun to edit. You know, you just using the basics. You know, you don't need to use something so professional. And to be honest, I don't think you need to use nothing professional. There's nothing much to it. You know, but that's the basics. I hope you guys all like it, and thank you, Jonathan, again for letting me use your picture. And I hope you enjoyed our tutorial. And you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the flip side.